So a few months ago, a group of scientists got together and for a conference, and they decided that science had come so far that humanity no longer needed God. So they picked one scientist to go and talk with God and tell him that they were just done with him. And the scientist walked up to God and he said, God, we decided that we don't need you anymore. Because, we have Elon Musk's rockets, and we have vaccines, we have self-driving cars, we have internet, and we can even clone sheep. So you can just go away, mind your own business from now on. And God, of course, was very patient and kind and listening to the man. And after the scientists finished talking, God said, okay, are you done? Well, how about this? Before I go, how about we have a human-making contest? And the scientist said, sure, I can handle that. And God said, but we're going to do it just like I did the first time, back in the old days with Adam. And the scientist said, okay, no problem. And then the scientist bent down to pick up a handful of dirt. And God stopped him. And he said, no. That's my dirt. You go find your own dirt. So such is the mystery of life, right? That's the mystery. That's the ultimate question. How is life even possible? And where did it begin, and what does it mean? What does life mean? So the dictionary defines life this way. Life is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. That's a lot of words, right? A lot of words. But does it tell us what life actually is? No, it doesn't. But we know what it is, right? We know intuitively. We just don't know how it can be. Life is our generative force. That's a lot of life right there. It's our generative force. It's the creative force. In the Hebrew language, the word ruach means breath or spirit. And it's the breath of Yahweh which carries God's life force. And this force enlivens everything. It makes plants grow. It brings intelligence to cells. It lets two cells from two people come together to create an entirely new being. And it is our commonality. It is what makes us one. And we sense this through the connected force of love. And life is also one of our 12 spiritual powers. And what this means is we can harness it and we can use it in expressing our Christ potential. So, the power of life is associated with the disciple Judas, because each power is. And in our body, it's found where you might expect in the sexual organs. It is generative force. And the color associated with it is red. And we use the power, there it is, okay, yeah. All of this power is coming down through the spinal column, and life is there at the bottom. We use this power of life all the time because we're actually creating life all the time. We're creating through our thoughts, right? In every moment we're creating. But let's use an example of how we might use life. Let's say we want to make a pizza. So we start with the power of imagination. We're thinking of it in our minds. And then we get a little bit excited about it. That's the power of zeal. That comes next. And then we have to choose to go ahead and make that pizza, and that's the power of will. But then it's the power of life that actually helps us carry through and sustain and make that pizza come into real physical being. Okay, so life is that action-producing, sustaining power that makes us come into physical. So like if you were to compare with a rocket ship, since I did use that in my title, 3, 2, 1 blast off, life, even though zeal is like the initial launch, life is like the boosters that take our rocket into orbit around the Earth. So the power of life is what gets you out of bed in the morning to greet the day. It's what energizes our bodies and makes us want to move. And oh boy, it's where we get our sensation and pleasure. So I saw a really wonderful example, and I thought, oh, that'll work in the talk. Last month when we were hiking on Angel Island, I saw a wonderful illustration that I thought would work for the power of life. See those two old military houses? If you hike around the island, you can find these lots of abandoned buildings, and they're mostly all painted white like that. But a group of volunteers restored this house a little while ago now. Look how beautiful it is. To me, that was an example of the power of life. We can just see it, we can feel it, right? We know where it is. And that abandoned house is such a contrast, right? So, you say, I get it, I know what life is. But how is it a power? It's a power. We can use it in healing. Who's done that? Anybody done that? Anybody else? Well, maybe try it. Yeah. Myrtle Fillmore, the mother of unity, healed her body of lifelong illness by speaking words of truth to all the life centers in her body. You know what that means? That means, oh, I see you. Perfect, whole, complete, full of life, energized, everything in order, and I love you. I did this. When one time I was at my house and I was climbing in my little shed, there's this ladder. You know what? They took that ladder off the market. Well, it was there's a little loft in this shed, and I climbed the ladder. And guess what? The ladder slipped out from under. It wasn't attached well, or it's just the design of the ladder. And I fell backwards on the ladder, straight back, like a domino, onto my head. And that was pretty serious, right? Well, I went inside, and I tried to consider whether I should go to the emergency room or not. And I just drew on that power of life. I sat in that chair, breathed into the power of life and felt it coursing through my body. And I knew that I was going to be okay. And I was. It did take me a while to heal from that, but I was okay. So we have this choice. When something's wrong in our life or in our bodies, we have this choice to tap into this power of life. When a dis-ease expresses itself in our bodies, we don't always know why. We don't need to know why. We don't always need to know why. Sometimes we do feel like we know why. But we can let this power flow through our bodies to heal and to renew us. So if you haven't done that, I challenge you to try it. It works. We all also know those stories like where a mother sees her child trapped under a car and she's able to lift it, right? And they're true stories, right? How does she do that? Well, that's the power of life. And it's combined with strength, the power of strength, and the power of power. And we see these amazing feats happen. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, compared life in the body to electricity in a motor. And he said that we have to direct this life and we have to regulate it because life is not in itself intelligent. We have to know when and where to apply it in order to get the best results. So we choose where to put our life energy. And something that's important to realize, which actually goes with the reason this is associated with the power of with the disciple Judas, is because we can use it informed with our our higher consciousness, or we can use it from an ego or a sense consciousness. And we've all used this power in sense consciousness. We've used it when we maybe eat too much and feel really engorged and bloated afterwards, right? Or maybe if we're binge watching TV all night, which Michael and I did that with Alias. That was a really hard one to stop. And when we should be sleeping, giving our body a chance to renew. Or, if we're picking up our phone too often, we also get endorphins from that, from this little wonderful burst of pleasure from those little apps. But that's life used in sense consciousness. We're looking for more of that life. We have it within us, though. We can always access it. Oops. It's hard to remember which, so much technology. So, and there's times when I've got caught up in this creative feeling of this life power, even when it is a good direction within us. Sometimes it's just so attractive, we just become obsessed with it, with that feeling. And I've done that sometimes when I create a concert. Actually, I think it's probably one of my worst habits of becoming kind of obsessed with whatever it is that I'm creating so much that I get in this tunnel vision. And it's like an obsession, and it feels good, and I keep going, and I'm creating, but then what do? I'm forgetting to tap into my source. And sometimes, there's been times when I get sick before a concert. One time I had to sing with laryngitis. It was really pretty bad. And this happened because I was so focused on my desire, I didn't stay centered in God. I didn't use my divine wisdom, and I needed that divine guidance. Your power of wisdom shows you where to direct your life energy. And when you do that, you feel joyous and free and energetic, and our desire is uplifted, and we receive everything we need. Now, we all have moments, of course, when we don't feel full of life. And that's okay, because sometimes we need to withdraw. We need to go into grief. We need to go into a quiet time. It's like winter. It's like a seed, underground, gathering its nutrients, gathering everything it needs. And then we really need to allow that. Sometimes it's hard for us to do that too. It's like a time where we're waiting for these conditions to be right so we can, like a seed, break through the shell and shove up through that dirt to reach for the sun. Like a plant. So, okay, we're talking about using our life power and sometimes being obsessed by it, but sometimes also it can get blocked. And I find it interesting that out of all our spiritual powers, it's life and elimination that are the physical ones, right? Can you think of anyone else? Let's see. Love, faith. I don't think any of the other ones are really manifesting so much in the physical realm. And so they go together. So love, we use wisdom, but also love and elimination go together. Because if you don't eliminate, you're going to have some serious health problems, right? And maybe even die, right? So our life is dependent on elimination. We have to shed what we don't need in order to have room to grow and to create. So what is it? What do you need to release to grow and to create? Do you need to release any old beliefs or any old stuff or old relationships? Because when you do, you'll have more joy. Yeah, you'll have more life. So as we conclude this talk, we're going to draw these ideas together. Okay. So this is a little exercise for you to take part in. I want you to imagine something that you desire. Something that makes you excited. Or something that brings you joy. It can be something physical, because we manifest that with life. Or something intangible. We manifest it all with life. I want you to just rest in that imagination for a moment. And now bring that imagination, that idea into the field of your wisdom. That feels serene. It feels supported. And now feel that life bubbling up within you. It could be from your root chakra. Infusing that idea, that imagination with life. And it's giving action to this vision. We see this vision animated now. Now I invite you to carry this vision, this idea with you, full of life, holding that feeling with it. And we affirm that as you go forth, alive and alert and awake and joyous, enthusiastic about life and living, you accept your life, your power of life. It's a pure stream, healing and harmonizing every part of your being. And so it is. Amen and amen.